Hey guys, CephalonKet here. So this video will be focusing specifically on gearing in 7.1 now that we've had a few days, and specifically how to get to a max of 330 blue gear. That means that we will not be focusing on gearing that you can get from operations. This is more focused on things players of all types can eventually achieve, and especially if you're prepared, since you cannot do operations anyway. Specifically, something that you can do without needing the maximum skill level, let's say. To begin, we know that in 7.0, when it first came out, we figured out that the best way to go was to gear up to 326 purple using the, let's say, PvP method. That was Starfighter specifically. A lot of people used that, including me, to very quickly and efficiently get their characters to purple 326 gear, which at the time was the best outside of operations. So with 7.1, and now that the cap has been raised, solo players and players that do flashpoints can get to 330. If you do operations, specifically the new operation, you can get up to 340, but like I said, not touching that here. So after some days gearing up my characters, investigating the paths available, I have found out a few ways we can go about this, which is one of the positives, I think, of 7.1. They have added a couple of ways to not make gearing as much of a grind as it was perhaps in 7.0. I'll talk about that more once we get to the 330 part. So to begin though, assuming that you are all geared up to 326 purple, if you're not, you can watch my previous videos about that, but let's assume for now that you're all geared up to 326. And now, to begin, the best way to go about this, regardless of what we will do next, is again the PvP method, the Starfighter method, and the boxes that you get from the PvP weeklies. That is, that if you get the PvP weeklies here, either the normal PvP if you want to, but if you want to avoid PvP as much as possible but still want to take advantage of that, do the Starfighter weeklies here that will show up over there. And once you finish it, you will get a Thirsian crate. You open that, it guarantees an upgrade to the next rank, let's say. So if you have 326, it will get to 328. For PvP this time, you cannot get further than 328. There are various reasons they might have done this, but that is a fact. You cannot get to 330 with PvP. But for the first step, I highly suggest again to get every character, focus maybe on one at first, and then gearing out is a lot easier. But get your main to 328 purple with PvP gear. If you want to use another method, something that you have more fun with, of course, go ahead. This is just my personal experience, what worked very well, very efficiently for me. And if you're watching this video, I imagine you want some tips, some maybe various paths you could take. So with that out of the way, now we are moving to the final already step in gearing up to 330. You have various paths in front of you. If you want to stick to your solo path, like I've talked about before, you can do the Conquest armor sets and Noble Decurion. They are the worst when it comes to their rarity. They are green, and also their stat distribution. They focus more on health, not damage. And also to gear up, it takes a very long time because with the Conquest route, you will have to manually upgrade your gear. You will not get a guaranteed upgrade, unlike with the other routes. So you will have to manually upgrade through the Conquest gear vendor. And the way the cap works with the currency, specifically the daily resource matrix here, if you're farming, hit the cap very fast, and you also use a ton of the daily resource matrix when you upgrade. So you will be forced to stop. So definitely, this is not my recommended way to go. This is just putting all the ways out there so you know them. So after that, with that out of the way, like I said, I don't recommend it at all. The next way to get to 330 is with flash points. And that is also our biggest step here. I personally did not even touch veteran flashpoint weeklies in order to get to 330 because they also give green gear, and they are also, their stat distribution is not as good as the blue gear, so I avoided that. And also another reason to perhaps avoid the veteran flashpoints when it comes to gearing is that you will not be able to do these missions here with these new modification vendors, which will allow you to actually unlock modding for your weapons. At first, with these vendors, I was unsure of their use, but now that I played around with the system, I have actually found this to be an extremely useful tool if I want to bypass some grinding. And I'm also going to mention exactly why for you as well. But before we go to that, the most efficient way and for the best gear is to get the blue 330, right? So that means master flash points. There is no way around it. If you want blue gear, blue 330, you have to do master flash points. There is a bit of a learning curve if it's your first time. You will need to perhaps look up a quick guide for the bosses. There are some new tactics you need to follow sometimes, depending on the flashpoint, but very doable. And when you finish the weekly, you will get a crate that is a guaranteed upgrade. So if I had a 328 here, it would give me a guaranteed 330 blue. And instantly, I have maxed out a slot already for 7.1. Now, there are two big paths in front of you here. So the first path is to just continue like this. That is to do master flashpoints and slowly with the crates upgrade your slots to 330. You can also switch around with characters to maximize, like switch gear around, use the gear you get from one character, put it on another character, and start getting to 330 that way. That is one way to go. That is also the lengthier way to go. It will take you more time because for each character, you can only do this 3 times a week. So it will take longer. However, we have another path in front of us here. That was a path I really used, and I actually am really happy that they added this here in order to give me a way, and for other players, a way out of farming as much and not have to do as many master flashpoints. And that is to get just one blue piece of flashpoint 330 gear. Just one. So it means that you will only need to do the master flashpoint weekly one time when you are at 328, of course. Get that 330 blue gear and don't put it on your character. Instead, get the mission from these guys here, hide mods vendor. You get the mission to disassemble prototype 330 gear, not artifact. Artifact is purple gear, and we will not be able to get this unless we do operations. So you talk to these guys, blah, 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 blah. I want you to make some modifications for me. And here it would show 330 prototype modifications. That's the one you want, not artifact. So you select that, it will give you a mission, and then with the 330 piece you have, let's say this, I want to use this, I would just deconstruct that, click deconstruct here, and it would update the quest. Then I just talk to these guys again, and they will unlock all the 330 mods. So it will look something like this. Ignore the 99, that's for 328. I would suggest just skipping that. This is not necessary. If we want to just go straight to 330, 328 is useless. I just did it while I was investigating. That also goes for the purple 328, because what you can also do is disassemble a 328 Thirsian gear, the PvP gear, and it will only give you these enhancements. You might think, oh, it's purple. It must be better than the 330 blue, right? No, it's actually not better, even though it costs more. So just, you can skip this entirely. You don't need it. The blue 330 gear is better than the purple gear. All right. So you deconstruct that, you get all your mods, and one way to go about this is to buy the mods here. So this is again an optional path because it is very expensive. It adds up. As you saw, it costs 100K for each modding piece. You can see here that I already took advantage of this with this character. I had my armor from 6.0 left over, which thankfully I still have the augments on it, so I also took advantage of that and reused my augments. Of course, the armor set piece doesn't, the bonus does not work anymore, but I don't care about that. I just care about the slots and the augments that's already on it. So to fully gear up, I believe it would cost you 2.5 million credits, not all at once. Of course, you don't need to be subscribed in order to do this. It costs 100K a piece. So, as you understand, this is costly. This is for people that really want to avoid grinding, like me. So, you don't have to do this if you're very low on credits. This is an optional step, but I really enjoyed figuring out this option because I was able to bypass the majority of the grinding. However, keep in mind that even with this method, putting all of the mods in adaptive gear, as we know, it doesn't have to be any new piece of adaptive gear. Any adaptive gear is fine, from cartel market, all gear that used to give bonus set bonus thing. It doesn't matter. It will work the same. However, you will still need to get the earpiece, the 2 relics, and your implants the old-fashioned way. If you use legendary implants, which I highly recommend you do, that will also bypass some of the grinding when it comes specifically to get into 330, but you will still need to get the blue 330 ear and relics from either, if you're already fully geared up, from the boss drops in Master Flashpoints or from the Master Flashpoint weekly boxes. All right? So if you already had the 328 purple from the PvP gear, and that's even better to even upgrade it manually because it's way cheaper when it comes to resources. And make sure that your ear and relic pieces are the last pieces on you that are 328, because if you're going to be using the mod method, you will be able to get the mods anyway. So what we are interested in making sure that the guaranteed upgrade that we get from the Flashpoint weekly is going to be used to upgrade the ear and relic slots, because those are the only slots we cannot upgrade through these vendors here. So keep that in mind. Make sure that these are the slots that are still at 328 when you need to do further farming. So these are the paths that worked really well for me. I was able to get to 330 within around 3 days. I did not even do that much farming. I did not really do that many of the flashpoint weeklies. I just quickly figured out the modding method. And since I do like to bypass some grinding whenever I can, I used a few million to gear up my main characters and then use the rest of the flashpoints weeklies to upgrade my gear that way to 330 blue. You can also, if you had some blue 328 lying around for some reason, if you won't be using it much, you can also just for, I still don't recommend it, but you could upgrade just for a couple of times, upgrade the 328 piece manually in the Flashpoint Gear Upgrade vendor. However, I don't recommend it because it's very expensive and costly when it comes to resources. And the main issue I have found out in general while I was investigating farming again, I was also trying to see if perhaps upgrading the conquest gear might help me with gearing up and stuff. And the main issue I had was constantly running out of the daily resource matrix so much that it's been the biggest source of annoyance for me when it comes to 7.1. So anything to avoid using the daily resource, I would follow it with my eyes closed. And the final thing, of course, is to slowly upgrade your legendary implants if you have them. We could go to 330 before, and now we can go up to 334. I have found a bug where it doesn't allow me to upgrade my 330 locked and loaded package. I don't know if it has happened with the other legendary implants. This is just one bug I found, but you should be able to get your legendary implants to 334 as well. Very costly, as we talked about. It costs a lot of tech fragments, some resource matrices. That's not as bad as upgrading, for example, the conquest gear and your conquest commendations. But most importantly, a lot of tech fragments. And that is where using the PvP weekly method comes in handy because it gives you thousands of tech fragments each time easily. So keep that in mind. All right. I believe I've covered pretty much everything I can at this point. This has been an update on my first video where it was pretty much a first impressions on the gearing. This is much more detailed because I had some more time to look into the system and I'm happy with the results and the various paths I found for me and for you guys. So let me know if this helped you. I hope it did. If you're not farming a lot, don't worry about it. As you can see, I got to 330 within like 3 days, so it's not like we'll have much to do until the next update anyway. So there is no rush. This is just for people like me that just would like to get that out of the way, like to figure things out, like to find all the tricks and stuff. This is You don't have to feel pressured to do this because you have all the time in the world basically until the next update. So yeah, this has been my gearing talk. I hope it was easy to follow. Let me know what you think or what you think about the gearing system in general. Do you, like me, feel like it has improved over 7.0? Personally, I definitely like that they added some more options to make it easier for us. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you would like to be notified about future videos. I upload basically every day. I also stream on Twitch almost every day, so you can hit a follow there. Comment below, leave a like, anything to support me and also help the algorithm help me reach out more people. So yes, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.